we'll do sort of like a panel that I have some questions set up ahead of time that we're going to go around, and I'll call in different speakers. And feel free, the three of you, to speak up as we go if you have something to offer, and you can leave yourselves unmuted. And I just want to take a moment to go around, and so I've got you on my screen here and introduce everybody. Thank you all for joining so much. It's very cool that we could actually get all three of you on the line at the same time. I know you're all very busy and you're running different departments. So on the left, we have Bianca Esposito. She works with IOM, with the International Office for Migration. She's a national project manager for that office. And so she's also an attorney, so be careful what you say. Just kidding, she's great. And then to the right there is Andrea Melendez, and she just recently became the director of the labor mobility program there at the ministry in Guatemala. And so that's pretty exciting. It's been fun working with Andrea the last several years. And then at the bottom, we have, on my bottom anyway, Jose Guillermo from USAID. He's actually the deputy director of the USAID Migration Office. And so I'm really, really thankful that all three of you are able to join at the same time. And I'm hoping for the next, 15, 20, 30-ish minutes, we can educate some of our clients on everybody's role and what job fairs look like, why do they matter, what is IOM's approach through the UN, and what are they trying to do, what is the ministry trying to do, what is USA trying to do, and why does it matter that employers come down. And so I guess just to start off, and this is kind of a broad question, but I'll start with Bianca. What is IOM and basically USAID and the ministry, what do they see as the future of this Northern Central America projects where we have these set aside visas? What are your hopes for your specific country as we move forward? We're on year 5 or 6 or 7 of this. So
can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So hello everyone. Thank you, Stephen, for having us. We always appreciate having a good relationship with employers, with agents like you guys, and we are always happy to know when you guys are coming to the country. We are always glad to have you. And yes, well, IOM, it's a United Nations agency who is focused on migration, and we are working with the Ministry of Labor with this grant that was provided from USAID to focus on the labor mobility program that the Ministry of Labor has. It's been running since 2019, and since then, IOM/USAID, we have been working with you guys to enhance and to better the opportunities of the Guatemalans to opportunities of working abroad. Responding to your question, we are working together as a team to provide a better reality of what is going on with the Guatemalans workers. We know that there's a huge need, and you guys have a strong shortage for certain industries. And in that response, we are working on tailoring specific programs that respond to your needs. This is what we've been doing through this year in attending these job fairs, in attending the forums, in attending the conferences in the United States, because we want to hear what is it that you really need. We want to understand your needs, and in response, create custom-made employer-driven programs that will respond to your needs in the near future. We are focusing on partnering with very strategic stakeholders like INTECAP, which is a training center here in Guatemala, and it's very unique through the region, and to respond to your specific needs and to make the Guatemalans more eligible for having access of the H-2A and H-2B visas.
So I'll just piggyback on that to Andrea. It's been a really big push by both the ministry and IOM with USAID's help to make sure that the needs of the employers in the United States are clearly identified, so that when you're going out and finding these workers, not only can you find workers who are willing and able, but also workers that may be able to go through some of these training programs and get the skills necessary so that they're more viable to the employer, like as soon as they get to the country. So I guess from your opinion, for the last couple of years, what has the ministry been doing in order to help Guatemalans get the training that they need and then connect them with the right employers in the States?
Thank you, Stephen, for your question. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. And yes, so the program is relatively new. It only started in 2019. So it's been a couple of years that the program has been working, but since it started, we've been identifying the most recurrent positions or job descriptions that we receive from employers. And based on this, we in partnership with IOM and USAID, we are working on developing training programs. And Guatemala has different training facilities. So we are working on developing training programs to ensure that the workers have the experience and they have the knowledge that they need in order to meet the requirements from different employers.
That's great. And then Jose Guillermo, from the U.S. government standpoint or USAID, you've all have gone down to these Northern Central America countries and provided funding, which is amazing. And if you think about it, U.S. aid that comes from our tax dollars to help facilitate through these countries to benefit the United States. And so, kind of like what's mission USAID for NCA and Guatemala as we move forward?
Thank you, Steve, for facilitating this discussion. And I really like how you summarized it, Steve. I do think that the work we're doing on promoting regular migration opportunities is perhaps the best form of aid that there is, because we're giving Guatemalans an opportunity to, fill critical labor gaps in the U.S. and generate income for themselves, for their families, for communities. Of course, I really like how Bianca summarized it. Basically, we do view it as a very just beneficial, mutual program, right? It's fulfilling the needs of key industries and employers in the U.S. while facilitating opportunities for dignified and just profitable employment for Guatemalans. And we all know, in general, we recognize that there's irregular migration, and one of the greatest tools that we have to address irregular migration is legal pathways, providing Guatemalans and people from Northern Central America and the region with opportunities to access dignified employment through regular and legal pathways. So for USAID, it's always a pleasure to partner with like-minded organizations like IOM. They're worldwide renowned for their expertise on migration in general, and I think partnering on these particular issues is critical because they also have a development angle and approach. And of course, for development in general, for USAID, it's a priority to strengthen national capacities, right? To make sure that the government of Guatemala, the Ministry of Labor, is capable of doing this work. We are providing technical assistance and other forms of support with the very exciting, I think Andrea mentioned it's relatively new, right? In 2019, it was about 50 workers that I think they were able to place. And in the last 4 years, it's been an average of about 4,000. So I think this is an indicator of how the program is being successful at meeting the labor gaps in the US and other countries. Just to give you a quick idea, IOM and in general, the ministry and IDB, the International and Inter-American Development Bank, actually did a pilot for Spain this year, and they're hoping to place the first 500 Guatemalans in Spain around the first quarter of 2025. So we recognize that demographics are changing worldwide, right? Like Guatemala and the region, we have some of the most youthful populations. We have a lot of people that enter the labor market that don't necessarily have the opportunities here. But Europe, the US, and other major economies are changing and shifting their demographics. And I think as those demographics continue to shift, I think we can capitalize on the fact that we have, as both Bianca and Andrea mentioned, a qualified pool of candidates that are very much willing and committed to providing support to US businesses, and of course, just supporting their own personal development for their families and their communities.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess a question directed both to Bianca and Andrea, and you guys can figure out who wants to go first on this. But as we're here together to talk about Guatemala specifically, but also the Northern Central America countries, and the employers that are on the call are like, okay, I've been using my Mexican guys, or maybe I've dabbled in Guatemala, or I've dabbled in El Salvador, and I'm not sure, is this viable? Is this the right thing? It just seems so far away. I've heard things about that it's not gone well at the ministry, or and they're not be aware of all the improvements that have been made. And so I guess the question to both of you is kind of like, what's the golden nugget to find in this idea of coming to the job fair? Why does it matter to come to Guatemala? Why does it matter to, partner with the ministry and IOM and come meet these potential candidates in country?
Andrea, you want to go first, and I can add later.
Of course, thank you, Bianca, and thank you, Stephen. There's nothing like having that face-to-face experience of interviewing the candidates. I think that's very important because employers can learn more about the workers' experience, hearing it from the workers, and they are also able to go in depth regarding the experience that the workers have, their knowledge. And it's also very important. I feel like it's important to get to know the country where the workers are coming from, so the employer can understand the workers' context. So we organize the job fairs and we recruit the candidates according to the specific requirements that are stated in the job orders that we receive from each employer. So we have the experience that each employer is looking for. But I think that it is very helpful, and we have heard feedback from employers that when they have the chance to interview the workers face-to-face, it makes it a lot easier for them to make a better decision on the workers that they are hiring.
Yeah, and I just want to add, as the overall understanding of the Northern Triangle, why choosing Guatemalan workers? And I think it's the same for other countries of the region, but particularly for Guatemalans. The youth of Guatemala, it's very strong and work ethic, and you can find reliability and adaptability, which is something that you might find very interesting. Besides that, we bring skilled, tailored to sectors such as agriculture and hospitality and construction and landscaping. Our employers report high levels of productivity and satisfaction. And within the region, Guatemala has the lowest percentage of abscondment. And this is something that we're very proud to promote, because when the Ministry of Labor has taken the back seat, USAID and IOM, we as a team, we are trying to create this narrative for you guys to understand that the Ministry of Labor is working side by side with the United Nations, with the US government, to secure that you guys are making a very smart decision on hiring our workforce. That it's not only skilled, because we're working on that, as I was saying at the beginning, but our programs and our pre-departure orientation programs allowed our Guatemalans to adapt easily, to know the business, to understand that this is a temporary experience, and to come back to our country. We are investing also in programs that will provide financial literacy to our Guatemalans, so that they know how to invest their remittances and to provide a better future for the community and for their families. So this is, I don't know what the other countries have been doing, but this is something that Guatemala is very focusing on.
That's great. Kind of to piggyback on the idea that Jose Guillermo was talking about, shifts in the population, and you're talking about how Guatemalans tend to be a younger workforce. And I kind of put you on the spot a little bit, Jose, about this idea of, it seems like also the Mexican workforce might be shifting, and something, into business development, you're always kind of looking for that next net to keep your company moving forward. You want to find a way to make sure that your workforce stays sustainable and you can grow and all those types of things. And so I guess from your opinion, as you've been in the country for a while, and you look at maybe the Mexican demographic shift being very viable for U.S. employers, as Bianca was saying, to at least hedge their bets, come to Guatemala and start at least exploring what it might look like to use this younger demographic.
Thank you, Stephen. Yes, I think there's very strong indicators that those demographic shifts are already, implying some changes. For the past couple of years, the number of Mexican N2A workers have decreased. In fact, there's now efforts from the Mexican government to recruit Guatemalan workers to work in Mexico, right? And there's actually some pathways that the Ministry of Labor and with USAID and IOM support, we're providing actually Guatemalan workers to enter the Mexican agriculture industry. So I think it's clear, right? We know the Mexican economy has grown significantly recently. Their development needs are very different. So the likelihood that they will be, just filling that role that they've, had for decades for the H-2A and H-2B program in the U.S., it is starting to already show some changes. So I think for future projections, for just in general, Steve, just as you noted, right? It can be just a pilot. Employers can start looking at it and exploring how this could be an interesting shift. And again, I like to just highlight a bit of on what Bianca was highlighting earlier. There are some other competitive advantages. Guatemala is a very strong agricultural country as opposed to others in the region, right? So workers that are from the agriculture sector are naturally equipped, and we provide additional training, even soft skills training, to make sure that they're better equipped to enter their work opportunities. So I think just a combination of demographics and in general, I think a youthful population like the regional is providing opportunities. I like to think of that sort of emphasis there and opportunity over.
I'm going to speak to something that these three cannot, and then I may just open us up for some closing comments. But as we're heading into the Trump second term, and we had Trump first term, and that sort of was the genesis of this NCA Northern Triangle visa allotment. And so what I think that people are uncertain of is, will that visa allotment continue? And nobody has a crystal ball, but I believe that since it was started in Trump 1, that it's going to continue in Trump 2. I think the numbers have proven out that the Guatemalan ministry in El Salvador and Honduras are committed to this program. So I don't think it's in jeopardy. I'd be shocked if something happened to cause this to be a problem. I mean, USAID is still on for quite some time, and Bianca's on for quite some time. And so I think this effort into the Northern Central America is going to continue. And the reason that that's important, and to bring it back to the conversation, is, again, it goes back to hedging your bets. It's until the cap situation gets solved, if ever. It's been broken for 40 years. As employers, you've got to find some place to generate this consistent workforce. And as we have 20,000 visas allotted to Northern Central America, LCI will be doing a job fair down there. I think it behooves you to come down, and we'll be down there with you. And these three faces you'll be able to see and meet. To even if you don't plan on getting Guatemalan workers, come down and meet them. Come down and see the ministry. It may be one of your best, most viable options to continue growing your company in such an uncertain environment. And so I think, we're going about 20 minutes, so I think we'll probably kind of do a little bit of a wrap up. But I think specifically about the job fair, and I think Andrea has spoken to this a little bit, it's just like, from your all's perspective, the three speakers, what do you think might be the greatest benefit of an employer coming down, whether or not they're exactly taking Guatemalan workers this year? Why would you say, if you could meet each one of these people, come to the country? Let's start with Bianca, we'll go Andrea, and then finish with Jose Guillermo. You're on mute. Is it broken? Can you not unmute? There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Loud and clear.
Okay, so I go first, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were saying why should you guys attend our job fairs?
Yep.
Well, tons of reasons, but on top of my mind, I think that it's a great opportunity for you to evaluate the candidate's skills and readiness. To understand the Guatemala recruitment process will allow you, it's funny because every time I talk to you guys when I'm over in the States, it comes to a shock when you guys learn that Guatemala has a labor mobility program and that it works so well. Yes, we have a lot of things to work on and to focus on, but as in today, when you have this opportunity and you come to the country, you start building relationships with the Ministry of Labor, with key partners like IOM, like USAID, and the experience of talking and having these conversations with the workers, I think it's one of a kind that you don't get always by doing interviews through these other apps or even in webinars, but to come to the country and see it for yourself and understanding the culture and talking and having those conversations with our Guatemalans, I think that it's
Yeah, so adding to what Bianca said, I think that having the experience and having that face-to-face interaction with the workers can be very helpful for you to determine whether the worker is going to be a good fit for you, but you also will get to know how what our workers are like, what the Guatemalan culture is like. And we also usually plan tours and stuff around the country so that you guys can understand what our culture is like, what our country is like. And I think that's very helpful.
I totally agree with Andrea and Bianca. And on top of that, you can tour some of the most touristy areas in the region. We take you to Antigua and some cool places to see active volcanoes. No, I'm joking. But yeah, there's opportunities, of course, to have some free time and explore. But I think for us, for instance, we always like to bring the employers to the U.S. Embassy so that they have a chance to talk to the consular offices and to understand what the the process is like. I love our consular team here because they're super committed to this program. They're always quick to highlight that they hear themselves from the employers that the Guatemalan workers that they have hired are very productive and that they're very satisfied with their labor. A lot of you probably attended the NCAE conference in Las Vegas, or our chief consular officer was there to discuss about the support that they provide. Just to give you a quick example, they prioritize H-2A and H-2B visas for the process, right? They have tons of other processes to do, but as soon as they receive a package or applications from the ministry, that's their number one priority. They try to get them done as quickly as possible. And then you get to, some employers even get to like meet the ambassador or the Ministry of Labor, and it's always just a great opportunity to see how we're working together to facilitate these employment solutions for you guys, and of course facilitating opportunities for Guatemalans.
Yeah, awesome. That's amazing. I think we'll probably wrap things up. I don't see any questions in the chat, so that's fine. I can't thank you three enough. Bianca, Andrea, Jose, thanks so much for coming together at the same time. It's been a really great sit down. You guys have provided insight that I wasn't even aware of, so I really appreciate that. Thank you to everybody who joined the call. And if you have any questions, reach out to Annika or myself, or continue reaching out in the chat. Get a hold of your account manager if you have questions about any of this, and you'll always be able to get a hold of me directly. So again, thank you all. Thank you to the speakers so much for your time, and hopefully we'll do something like this again soon.
Hopefully we will. Happy holidays to everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Stephen. Happy holidays to everyone.